If I just have one thing to say about this one, it's that it feels like the McDonald's toy version of a MechWarrior game. This would be one of the most intriguing titles for a game that would randomly appear on my screen while scouring the mech section on Steam. Slak, Mech Trekking. Whenever my internal monologue reads this one out, it takes on the voice of an aging and gruff southern trucker. Slak, Mech Trekking. Now, I'm not quite too sure what exactly a Slak is at this point, but because Mech Media really doesn't like to use the term mech in universe, I'm running on the assumption that these big machines of war are called Slaks. Like the pants. Maybe because they have legs instead of wheels. This one came about onto Steam to very little fanfare at the very tail end of 2025. December 29th, Bog released this one into the world for the low price of $2.99. The extremely brief About Game section is as simple as stating the game has 15 levels, customizable loadout, and then the controls. That feels old school, like I'm booting up a browser game in Flash. It feels maybe out of place here. Is this an indie project from itch.io, a mobile game port? Not that I could find. Maybe my Google foo was just bad, but I'm turning up a complete 0 about this Bog fella, but I'm running under the assumption that this is their first completed project. And now that you're curious about the developer, you might be curious about the reviewer. Hi, I'm Empty, I'm a mecha latecomer, but I've set myself up on this personal mission to experience every single mech game ever, AAAs, indies, and the obscures alike. I use this channel to archive my thoughts about the whole thing. If you'd like to keep up with me, we'd love to see you hit the sub button. If you just want to chat about the big robots, feel free to take a seat down in the comments. Thanks. The game boots to an ominously silent main menu. Simple boops establish button presses as the dark light of the background is filtered through your cornea, preparing the brain behind for some sort of action-packed future sequences. We make our way through the settings menu to establish confirmation that this game understands that our hardware is ready for ultra-graphics settings. The sound settings are checked, but the input menu is only glanced at, as we can't hold back the anticipation to start. Except, wait, hold on, we've got a loadout screen before every single mission. As far as I can tell, there's only actually one controllable mech here. It shows MC under the word Slak, so I guess we're driving Mech Slak today. The loadout selection is unlocked from the start, a collection of weaponry equipable to both the right and left hands and also the right and left shoulders. Beam lasers in the pulsed or non-pulsed variety, Gatling guns, a flamethrower that sounds really cool but turns out to be a huge disappointment, projectile, laser, and different forms of artillery, missiles, and rockets. First mission, first thing I notice is that I'm not in the pilot seat yet. I get to run around as the little dude in first person mode. I can just get in and out of my Mech Slak anytime I want, and that's pretty awesome. A lot of games seem to skip this part, but I always feel like it's a solid addition into any of these mecha games. It really helps to contextualize that you are in a big machine when you're able to run around its feet like an annoying little chihuahua. Downside here, Slak does absolutely nothing with this gameplay-wise. There's no reason to ever leave the mech. This portion just serves as a short intro in every single level. I wish there was purpose for this feature, get out and unlock a gate, or shoot some other guys on foot, or, I don't know, something. Another weird thing here is that the zoom feature isn't turned off for this on foot mode. So I guess we've got cyborg binocular eyes. The tutorial goes pretty much as expected besides this. Move around, shoot some, peep your eyes around the screen at the user interface. We've got objectives, a map, target status, and our own stats. I particularly liked the addition of a speedometer near the aiming reticle despite its variable accuracy. We learn how to jetpack, and the jump animation does this weird graphical lag sort of thing when we land back on the ground. We also get notified that arm damage limits firepower, while leg damage mitigates movement. While I played this game, I didn't really notice this as doing much, as it always seemed much more pertinent to simply shoot the enemies in the body to destroy them as fast as possible. There isn't really a lot of room for tactical decision making, as this as a whole is a very light experience. Anyways, our objectives: defeat some enemies, destroy the buildings. Mission complete. The second mission seems to continue the objective trend, which we'll continue to see. Destroy some targets, destroy some mechs. Got it. I do like the environment presented in this level. The lighting gives a nice dusty orange tone to the conifer forest, nearly matching the brown dirt tones underfoot. The beauty of a boreal dusk. Something I noticed here is that when you run into the pine trees, they don't bend to and fro. They don't go flying or rolling across the map. They fall straight down like a controlled demolition. Jet fuel can't melt steel trees. Also, they lack sound effects. No crunching of branches or scraping of scrub. Just a silent fall. While we're paying attention to the sounds here, it's pretty noticeable that there is no music. Personally, I kinda liked this minimal approach, the focus being strictly on the game with no distractions. However, I do notice that similar to the lack of sound for trees, also the sound seems to randomly stop for other things, like my weapons firing. I don't like that part. The missions continue onward into a beachside city map. This one I thought was pretty cool. I always love stomping through a neighborhood in a big mech suit in all these games. Easily my favorite environment. This map also introduces a new objective called Go to Waypoint. Along with this, I started to switch up my weapon choices each level to see what they were all about. The unique missile-type weapons per shoulders felt awful. There was a significant lack of any sense of something close to haptic feedback here. Most of the time I didn't even really know that I was firing the shoulder weapons, as they seemed to sort of take on a mind of their own, flying about until maybe going in the direction that I aimed. It was also in this level that I realized not only is there no ammo in this game, but the laser weapons seem to be best. I noticed the enemy towers here sniping me from completely across the map with these lasers, and determined they were what I wanted in all 4 weapon slots. Of course, we had to try out the flamethrower first in the next mission, which takes on a rather boring rocky arena to form a deathmatch type mode. Before you ask, no, the flamethrower is not good. It sounds like such a cool and fun weapon, but I think in most games I've ever played with it, it requires range to be far too close for my general playstyle. Oh yeah, and before the quad laser setup, we do of course have to give a quad Gatling gun a go, since I seem to be quite a sucker for that one. Now, I've already established the game lacks ammo several times over, but it does sort of replace this concept with a heat mechanic. Fortunately, quad Gatling guns induce 0 heat for some reason. That is strictly a mechanic for only the lasers, as far as I could tell, and can actually make you blow yourself up if you decide to take it too far. Around this point, I ended up in a big desert canyon level and noticed the enemy towers shooting their lasers straight through the walls. The canyon leads us into a series of cave levels. There is no sunlight in here, so we're guided by our Slak's headlights. This is a really neat addition, and while relatively minor, really sets the tone for this set of levels. There's a whole little city in here. It'd be nice if the buildings had twinkling lights, or if there were little cars driving around the little highways to be kicked around by Slak. There's not a story or plotline to go along with any of this, but in my head, I like to imagine that I had finally discovered the enemy's manufacturing facility, hidden and fortified inside this immense cavern, setting foot inside to completely dismantle it. Going further is probably my favorite map, this downward spiraling quarry. It's a shame the weapons don't have limited range, as I think if they did, or Had a variety of ranges, this sort of map design could be a lot more intriguing per gameplay. Running circles around this, going up and down, watching the enemies on the other side as you tried to bait each other into coming within line of sight would have been a lot more blood-pumping than the most effective tactical action of sitting on a ridge at the top and sniping everything straight down before running to the end of an empty helix-shaped trail. The final level I got to play, level 10 I believe, follows up this underground cave base with the standard objectives that we've seen before. Go to the waypoint, destroy 10 targets, destroy all mechs. The problem here is significant as the destroy 10 targets seems to be unable to complete. I've stumbled around here blowing up everything I could and 2 of the 10 seem to be glitched. I can only manage to successfully destroy 8. This is a game-breaking bug, and I am unable to see the further 5 missions that were promised in the game description. Judging from the trailer, it seems the last 5 missions take us into a polar, snowy mountain, and also some sort of base built in the middle of a blue ocean. This unfortunate bug is further confirmed by the only other 2 reviews left by other players. While very cheap, this was still a paid product. I expect to be at least able to play the game, but I cannot, which means this is an automatic negative review score. The game cannot be completed, not because I need to get good, not because I don't like it and don't want to finish it, but because the game itself is broken to the point that it cannot be continued. Very disappointing. Hopefully Mr. Bog is able to reappear at some point in the future and provide us with an updated build to allow game completion. Now, a lot of people probably turn up their nose at this sound of a game anyways, just based on how simplistic it is compared to the AAA behemoths on the market, but I actually kind of liked it. Now, not only did I kind of like it despite its jank, but I think sometimes we need gaming experiences like this. It's not trying to deliver a grand story or have the most in-depth and complicated number-crunching mechanics. It's not asking for you to throw down every moment of free time for the foreseeable future. It's just a quick and simple and easy play. It really takes me back to spending hours playing simple browser-based flash games after school days, or turning on a parent's work computer to find it came pre-installed with wild tangent games like Polar Bowler and Fate. Sometimes things like this can maintain charm despite being flawed. I think most people's favorite childhood blanket wasn't the newest and fanciest one, but the one that's the comfiest and probably even has a bunch of holes in it, if you know what I mean. Sometimes it's still nice to find that old blanket and wrap yourself up in it for 5 minutes.